again, okay? We need to remember.
All right. So I would like to thank the CAMFA committee members for taking the initiatives and making the event happen on a weekly basis. My KLA team has been really excited, in fact, conducting these sessions, as we have received very positive feedbacks and appreciations from across the industry, and especially from the upcountry and the chapter members as well. So it's been a real value add for all our dear friends and associates who have been engaged with CAMFA. And we look forward for one such insightful and engaging session this evening as well. So the topic for today is growth strategies for MFDs in coming decades. So we have a very well-known personality and a great speaker. It's an honor to have you today, this evening. Radhika ma'am, we welcome you for this event. I'll just take a couple of minutes to introduce for the people who are not fully aware of your background. So Radhika Gupta has been a managing director and a chief executive officer of Edelweiss Asset Management Company. Radhika Gupta has more than 15 years of global asset management company experience, started her career with global giant McKinsey and AQR Capital, and moved to India to start Forefront Capital Management, India's first registered domestic hedge fund. She joined Edelweiss Group after the acquisition of Forefront, scaling up the hedge business and also leading two asset management acquisitions, JP Morgan and Ambit Capital. She became the CEO of mutual fund business in 2017 and is now building Edelweiss AMC, a bold solution-oriented and customer-obsessed asset management company. So Radhika grew up in 4 continents and is a keen storyteller, known for her anecdotes. So also The Girl with Broken Neck, her personal story that crossed 2 lakh YouTube viewers. She graduated from the Management and Technology program at the University of Pennsylvania with the highest honors and joint degree in economics from the Wharton School of Computer Science Engineering from Moore School. So Radhika currently serves on the board of Amphi as well, and Young President Organization Mumbai. She has been named by Economic Times as 40 under 40, by Business Today and Fortune as one of the most powerful women in business, and as a top voice for LinkedIn. So we welcome you on board, ma'am, and it's all over to you.
Great. Can you see me and hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so hi CAMFA team, good evening. My knowledge of any language and any of the 4 South Indian languages is, I think, limited to Namaskaram and Vannakam, so I'm not going to attempt anything more than that. And you know, I haven't had the opportunity to improve it, but it's a delight to be here, and thank you for having me, and thank you to the large number of you who tuned in on a Saturday evening. I thought in the post-lockdown world, nobody shows up on a Saturday evening, but it's very nice to be here. I do fewer of these now, so it's really nice, and thank you for the generous introduction. So while I take, and I think the time allotted was 1.5 hours, but fear not, I will not speak for 1.5 hours. I actually hope that while I will speak for some time, I really miss the energy of talking to a live audience. I remember one of the best or most memorable presentations I've done in my life was at the CAMFA annual meet. And I still tell that story. It was one of the lowest days of my life, but when I met this CAMFA audience, I felt extremely energized. So I have fond memories of that. Unfortunately, we don't have a live audience, but I will try to keep this a little interactive. And if I ask you questions, please use the chat window to respond. I think it'll try to compensate for a live audience. And I'm hoping that I won't speak for more than 30-40 minutes. And then, you know, we may have some fun in the Q&A. So Tejas, if that's okay, then I'll get started.
That's absolutely fine, ma'am. We can start off. Yes, yeah. All over to you.
Perfect. So I'm just going to take a second to project this, and hopefully this works just fine. Great. So you guys should be able to see a screen. Can you see my screen, guys? You can see my screen.
Yes, ma'am.
I titled this presentation, and my team titled this presentation, they actually titled it Searching for the Light. And I changed the title today morning to Searching for Your Light. I think the title makes a lot of sense because we are coming out of extremely interesting times. And I think if you asked anyone to recite their feelings at these times, there'll be very, very different feelings. There'll be fear, there'll be gratitude, there'll be anticipation for the post-COVID future. There may be excitement, but we are coming out of extraordinary times. And I think all of us are hopefully moving forward and looking for sort of the light at the end of the tunnel after these times. But I also believe, and I think what I want to tell you in this presentation, and at least I haven't had a very long career, contrary to what my introduction says. I'm one of the younger ones in my industry. What I have realized is that light and opportunity is extremely individual and extremely personal. Success is extremely personal, and searching for your light is ultimately about carving your own path. Now, while we are sitting in 2020, I want to tell you a story that goes back to another time when India was changing and actually the world was changing. But this is 20 years ago. And this is at the turn of the millennium. You know, remember there was all this Y2K and the turn of the millennium and all that stuff was happening. Um, and this story was told to me by a dear friend who witnessed it firsthand. So nearly in the late 90s, Amitabh Bachchan had faded out as a superstar. I think, you know, he had had a series of successful movies in the early 90s, and I'm a total film buff. And then he kind of took a back seat from acting. And then he came back with ABCL, the whole corporation. ABCL ended up being a royal disaster. People would remember the Miss India pageant in India, which got into trouble, which ABCL sponsored. So he did that. That didn't work out for him. Uh, After that, he tried to make a comeback with a few movies. You know, some people will remember Lal Badshah and, you know, a few other movies. And they also ended up being cold turkey at the box office at that point in time. Uh, After that, he was approached by the team at Star TV for an opportunity on Indian television. And everybody knows what show that was. You know, if you don't know, please put it in the chat window. But everybody knows what show it was. What people don't know is that he was actually very hesitant. So this was a copy of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in UK. He actually flew to the UK to watch the show. And at that point, Samir Nair, who was heading Star TV, you know, had to really convince Mr. Bachchan to do this. Now, it made a lot of sense in Mr. Bachchan's case because TV didn't command too much respect at that point in time. This was the TV of the 90s. There were a few channels like Z, there were a few serials, and film actors had a very different reputation and standing. I mean, they operated in a different orbit than TV actors. And so the decision to step into TV, especially, and you know, it's one thing to make one of these bold decisions when you are already in a position of strength, but when you are in a position of weakness and times are tough, it is much harder to make this kind of decision. And this is a story probably all of you have heard. So he finally decided to do what became Kaun Banega Karodpati. My friend Tarun Katyal was with Star TV. He just was CEO of Z5. Can you guess? So when Amitabh Bachchan decided that he wanted to do TV, he said that, okay, if I'm going to do TV, I'm going to be the best at it. And let me tell you something you might not have heard of. For the first episode's rehearsal of Kaun Banega Karodpati, Amitabh Bachchan did 100 rehearsals, 50 days, 2 times a day. Did anyone know that? I mean, throw that on the chat window. Did you know that? 100 rehearsals to show up on one TV show. And you know, Tarun tells me, he said it was so irritating for the unit because if Amitabh Bachchan was coming on set, it meant everybody else had to come on set. But Amitabh Bachchan said, if I'm getting into a different medium, I want to do it with so much energy and enthusiasm that when I walk into that TV set, it should feel like home. It should feel like a film set. Of course, KBC changed the course of not only his career, but the whole perception of film actors on TV. Now, of course, a film actor doesn't feel bad sitting on an idiot box, and now Saif Ali Khan is okay sitting on a mobile phone because it's Netflix era. In fact, in the post-COVID era, and I have a reasonable number of friends in film industry, what I hear is that a lot of actors, even a Salman Khan, can't release big movies on big screen now because no one's going to the theaters in COVID, and they are going to have to adopt a big boss or this kind of model. So back in 2000, actually, at a point of extreme darkness in his life, Amitabh Bachchan had the conviction to find his own light. And what I want to share with you today, as friends in the IFA community, is a little bit of frank advice. I think I have 8 pieces of frank advice that I want to share with you on how you might want to think about finding the light in your business in a post-COVID world. Now, the problem with a post-COVID world is because I've been in lockdown for a very long time, I've become extremely frank. So you'll just have to deal with a franker dose of me than you usually deal with. So here's presenting my Super 8. So the first piece of advice or thought I want to share with you is the difference between value and profitability. अभी हम लोगों का क्या है? Everybody understands profit. The world has shown us there is a big difference between value and profit. All of us read that, oh, X startup is getting valued at XYZ, and then we think, oh, this guy doesn't have revenue, etc., etc. The world respects profit, but the world respects value a lot more. And what is the difference between profit and value? What do you think is the difference between building a company that is extremely valuable versus extremely profitable? What is the difference between profit and value? So I'll tell you what I think the difference is. Profit is making money off a customer. Value is doing something a customer will remember you for. And I think as you build your business, if you deliver value to the customer, he will buy from you. And if you deliver value, he will not worry about X and Y and TER and active and passive. So one of the things I've realized in the AMS industry in the last few years, I have unfortunately been branded passive queen because of Bharat Bond, which is absolutely false because a large part of our business, almost all our equity business at Edelweiss, is active. And people, you go to these media channels and they keep asking you, madam, what do you think of active versus what do you think of passive? And I was having this discussion with my father, and he told me something. He said, beta, which consumer in this country wakes up and says, today I want to buy an active fund. I said, tomorrow I want to buy a smart beta fund. Day after I want to buy a passive fund. No consumer thinks like that. These are all means for AMCs to make profit. A consumer thinks, yaar, मेरे पास थोड़ा पैसा है, I have some money, I want to invest it, कोई मुझे ठीक ठाक advice दे दे. So I would encourage you to think of life in terms of customers and delivering value to customers. In all this active, passive, this, that gets lost. One of the things that I think you can do to constantly add value to customers is more knowledge. One of my learnings in the post-COVID era is that customers are just going to have a wider and wider range of options ahead of them, and customers are becoming more savvy. Again, I'll give you a film analog. A friend of mine from the film industry was saying that, after the 90s, as sort of media opened up and as the internet opened up, films were forced to upgrade because customers suddenly had a whole range of global options ahead of them. And After that, the whole film industry was forced to upgrade. And what I am telling you is in our industry also, the customer will have a wide range of options, and we can't stop consumers from having options, whether it is of AMCs or whether it is of advisors. So, every periodically I get told, Acha, you are a new age AMC, but Navi AMC is going to come, and Paytm AMC is going to come, and Zerodha AMC is going to come, and all of them are going to come, and it is fantastic, and all of them should come. The best thing I can do is keep adding value to my consumer and staying ahead of my game. And I think that is the best thing that you can do. That's the best thing you can do as an individual. That's the best thing you can do as an IFA. That's the best thing you can do as an AMC. So keep asking yourself, what is the value I'm adding to my consumer? And if I went away tomorrow, if my business didn't exist tomorrow, would someone miss me? And if the answer is yes, then perhaps I think you're building a business that has value to the customer. And I think customer value, yes. And someone put it, I think TM Swami said this, I think profit is very short term. There are 10 ways to build businesses that generate profit. Value is very long term. You can generate a lot of profit. Companies that generate, there are many companies that generate 100 crores of profit. Why do all of them get different kinds of multiples? It's because one generates value that will sustain over time. The second thing I want to tell you, and this is one that is extremely close to my heart, and this is about branding. I think if there's one thing that IFAs can do a significantly better job, it is branding, and the lockdown has shown me this. I have a question for you, and please tell me on the chat window. Assume that Yes Bank and HDFC Bank, and I have nothing against or for both banks, but Yes Bank and HDFC Bank, and Yes Bank is now owned by SBI. If Yes Bank and HDFC Bank, hypothetically, had the same profit after tax in a year, do you think their market capitalization and their PE multiple would be the same? Do you think so? Can you tell me in the chat window? If both Yes Bank and HDFC Bank delivered the exact same, so everyone is telling me no. Okay, so that is clearly established. Why? Most of you will tell me HDFC will trade at a significantly higher multiple than Yes Bank. HDFC Bank will trade at 20 times earnings. Yes Bank will trade at 15 times earnings or whatever. Someone said it. Dipesh Mehta put it nicely. Yes, so multiple people are writing this. HDFC Bank commands a brand. Brand is one of those things that we think has no value, but ultimately all the value lies in the brand. And if there's one thing that you guys need to work harder at, it is building a brand. Yeah, someone made this point about brand. Brand is how people perceive you. HDFC Bank is perceived as consistent, doing the right thing, growing steadily. The other bank in question, I don't know. It could be a very good bank. It could do years of more profitability, but there is a brand around HDFC Bank that gets a lot of value. I think the brand of the modern day IFA needs to improve and needs to, the investor ultimately trusts brand. And you guys are also competing with people today who have very, very large advertising budgets. Ultimately, investors trust something called a brand. I have been, by the way, guys, at the personal end of this because I've lived in a time which was much tougher in 2018 and 19 when my parent company brand went through a lot of nonsense, even though AMC had nothing to do with it. I think the only way we got out of that time and we grew despite what happened is because of the focus on building brand Edelweiss AMC. People have to trust your brand. And brand, I think, is a few things. One, I think it means walking the talk. So it's not just saying I stand for something, it is actually walking the talk and walking the talk in the toughest times. Prahlad Kakkar, who's probably the best, advertising mind we have in the country, once told me that nobody builds a brand in a good time. You build a brand in a bad time, you market it in a good time. So what you do in a bad time, how you handle a customer, I think that matters. The second thing is, I think anyone who is building a strong brand has a strong ability to define मैं ये करूँगा और मैं ये नहीं करूँगी. It's less about what I will do and more about what I will not do. In the case of HDFC Bank, there are 10 things I can tell you, 10 business choices that I know HDFC Bank will not make. And I know nothing. I mean, I'm not an insider. I'm not an ex-employee of HDFC Bank. So finding a niche, finding a set of principles and saying, I will do this and I will not do this, and I don't care what anyone else says, I think is important. The third thing I would say is being building a brand also means being a brand ambassador. I'm going to be very frank here. I think the last 18 months, because of so many events that have happened, particularly around credit, have not been easy as a mutual fund fraternity, and fraternity is you and us. It is very easy at this time to get negative about our business. I can only say that if you and I tell my CEO colleagues this, if we and you who are stakeholders in this business are negative about this business, how do you expect our customers to respect the business? So it is very easy and tough, rough times to forward an angry WhatsApp कि इस AMC ने ये कर दिया है या ये बंदा खराब है. I think being a strong brand also means walking the talk and being a good ambassador of that brand. And finally, I think building a strong brand is about under commitment and over delivery. I did a Twitter Spaces last night with a lot of my industry colleagues, and I am actually more scared of bull markets than bear markets. I think investor expectations, and please tell me on the chat window if I'm wrong. I think investor expectations go out of whack in a bull market more than they do in a bear market. If there's one thing you can do that will really help your brand at this time is under commit and over deliver. People are coming into funds looking at 1 year's return, expecting a crazy outcome in the next year. The best thing you can do, and this is something a lot of you are writing, minimum returns 50%, debt may, because rates have fallen, 15% returns in yield fund, all of this. Not a lot of people are going to, good news is, not a lot of your organized competition is going to give customers this advice. A lot of them will pound the same NFOs. A lot of them will do anything to sell. Just by doing the right thing and setting good expectations, you will build a solid brand, because markets inevitably go through cycles. So this is the easiest and best service. Yes, by reiterating, Vanita pointed out asset allocation, by reiterating the simple principles, and you can say it sounds boring now, I promise it will help you in the future. The third thing I want to tell you is about building a business for the future. And this is going to sound like a silly example, but I think if you have to build value and if you have to build brand, you have to take some steps today that build the business, for tomorrow. Perhaps many of you don't know this, but when I joined Edelweiss AMC, okay, so this is a good poll. This is 2017. Can you guess the size of Edelweiss Mutual Fund's SIP book in 2017? I've never said this on camera, but it feels like family. So why doesn't someone take a guess? Size of our SIP book in 2017. I'll give a prize to someone who gets it right. Okay, Dipesh said 50 crores. No, Dipesh, that was very optimistic. Okay. Shrikala said 30 crores. Superb. Okay. Rajesh said, aha, Sanjay and Ravi are the closest to it. They're not exact, but they're closest. So it was 2 crores, guys. It was actually 2 crores. They just never invested in building the business. Yeah, Basa Vajru got it exactly right. So it was 2 crores. It's about 150 crores today. And when Deepak came in, who had sales, we had a conversation about how ultimately we would have to build an SIP book, because this would support the business in the long term. Now, I don't come from a retail background, so I basically trusted him and said, "Tu keh raha hai to kar dete hain." And today I think in the last 4 years, perhaps the thing that makes me most proud is, and last year was a terrible year for industry, we have not had, God willing, a single month in the last 4.5 years where we've had net equity negative sales. I think part of it is because we took the effort to build a strong SIP book. And what I want to tell you is, don't give up on building the business for the future. You know, these futuristic things, इसमें बहुत मेहनत लगती है. You know, SIP by SIP, it takes a lot of effort. If anyone tells you it doesn't take effort, but it is an investment in the future. My team did a quick analysis here. You know, if you just did the effort of doing 5 SIPs month on month, how long does it take an IFA to log in 5 more SIPs month on month? How long does it take? How much effort does that take? I mean, I'm curious. I can't imagine. And assume each SIP was 2,500 crores. So you did 5 more SIPs than you do month on month. Each is 2,500 crores. That's a 12 crore corpus after 10 years. That's an incremental earning of 12 lakhs a year or 1 lakh a month. That's just the effort of 5 more SIPs month on month. It's not a lot. We have to keep doing things for the future. You know, Rashesh has this beautiful line about how businesses have to be built with bifocal vision. And I think that's absolutely true. Bifocal vision means कि जो आज का काम है वो भी करना है. You have to run the business for today. No one is taking away from that. But you also have to build for the business of tomorrow. And that is something that I constantly work towards. But do things that will build your business for the future. And as Shrikala is telling us, this example of 5 SIPs month on month, every month, it takes negligible effort. Someone is telling us it takes negligible effort, but we have to do the effort to do a few things for the future. Okay. The fourth thing I want to tell you, and again, I'm going to be a little frank here, is about diversification. Now, all of us tell our clients a lot of gyan about diversification, which is extremely important. It is extremely important to diversify your portfolio, but it is also important for you as an IFA to diversify your business. I'm being frank again here. I talk to advisors who say, "Mujhe debt nahi samajh aata. I will only do equity. I don't understand debt. I will only do equity." You are building a very limited business because you know what? Your customer will do debt. Your customer will do FD. He will do everything. Don't close your mind to it. Be open-minded about it. If you don't do it for the customer because you don't understand it, you're giving your customer one more opportunity to go to Grow or Paytm or the banker next door. Your customer will be so, and by the way, diversifying doesn't mean that you have to offer subpar products, but do you need to know about everything that is going on in the market? Absolutely, because your customer is going to be sold a structured product. He is going to be sold a closed-ended AIF. You and products in India are going to get more and more exotic. So one, I think you have to know a diverse range of products in the market. Secondly, in the way you build a business, you have to make sure there is diversification. Some people, so my board asked me a question recently that I want to tell you. We have about 13,000 crores of equity assets at Edelweiss AMC. Now, boards always worry that aapka koi key man risk hai and you know, all your business is in one direction. The business is actually very diversified. 1/3 of that money is international assets. 1/3 of that money is hybrid funds. 1/3 of that money is long only funds. And the board was actually very surprised when I told them this. And I told them this is intentional. If we want to build a business that is robust, if we want to build a business that is long-term, we have to build a diversified business. This also, by the way, means building a diversified business across AMCs. I am an AMC CEO, but I am telling you, don't place all your eggs with one AMC basket. It kills your negotiating power as a business owner. And the last thing I would tell you here is don't shy away from new products and new asset classes. Reality of the world is there will be more exotic products. There will be more low fee products like debt passive instruments. There will be more complicated products like global investing where you don't feel you have a hand. Just because something is less income or just because something is more complicated does not mean you shy away from it. Because remember, every time you do so, you're giving someone else an opportunity to reach out to your customer. So please keep that in mind. And anyway, all these new products, I genuinely believe, are a chance to build your knowledge. Like if you don't know anything about international investing, there are so many resources today. Take the effort to learn. Take the effort to have a conversation about China or S&P with your customer. Why not? It also adds to the whole brand value that we talked about. The fifth thing I'm going to talk to you about is digitization. Now, this is something everyone has got very bored about hearing, but I think it's important to talk about. There's a running joke that the CTO in all our organizations has been COVID rather than the CEO or CTO. I'm not going to go into statistics about smartphone usage, etc., etc. But I'll tell you a little story from home. My mother is a very well educated principal of a school, and she was never a believer of buying anything online. She used to tell me jab sabzi lene ki bari aati thi, when it was about buying vegetables, that you have to touch and feel the vegetables to buy them. And ye Amazon ye sab bekar hai. Today, in the post-COVID world, my mother has become a brand ambassador, I think, for this company called Milk Basket. She calls me every day, Milk Basket, so my bread has come. Milk Basket has done this for me. And she is so excited about Amazon that 3 weeks ago, she found a mop on Amazon that she liked. And she said, you must buy this mop off Amazon. And she said, no, no, no. I will buy this mop off Amazon to show off my Amazon ordering skills to you. This is my mother who said nothing should be bought off Amazon. And the point I'm making is that every age group has become more open to not only digital transactions, but digital exposure. Now, one of the things when people assume digital, they assume it's only digital transactions. That is important. Back office, using digital tools, using your BSE, MFU, all of that is important. I mean, if anyone's doing paper transactions, that's a completely different thing. But I think digital also means enhancing your own digital presence today. Digital tools can be used to build what you do, or they can be used to hurt what you do. A lot of people think that digital is forwarding messages on WhatsApp. That is the worst. That is negative digital presence. That is unproductive digital presence that is just forwarding WhatsApp. Today, there are so many tools where IFAs can be present. And I'll give you a few examples also to build their digital presence. And I may get into trouble for saying this. 3-4 years ago, when I joined this industry, we used to rely on many different conference providers to reach out to IFAs and reach out to investors, and we used to pay, sponsorship fees, and all of that happened. In the last 12 to 18 months, I mean, many of you have attended, Edelweiss AMC decided to create a digital property called Connect. And we would reach out to, we reached out to Vishwanathan Anand, and we reached out to Monish Pabrai. And by the way, we don't pay the secret is, the trade secret I've never told anyone, we don't pay these people anything for doing it. We got that caliber of speakers to come to our digital platform. We've got thousands and thousands of people attending each event. And because the property is becoming popular, we can now ask anyone and they come. I don't know how many of you have used platforms like Twitter Spaces or Clubhouse, but there are some IFAs using them extremely effectively. We did an event yesterday where there were 800 consumers at 10 p.m. on a Friday night discussing mutual fund investing. Imagine if a few of you were there as IFAs and doing a regional event and building your own brand. It's a live chance to acquire customers. So please invest in your digital presence. It is a way to build, as someone said, a virtual office, a virtual brand. I think 10 years ago, so much about building an AMC was having big marketing budgets, big brand, big advertising budgets. All this stuff has been disintermediated because now you don't need to do this. So that is one thing. Enhance your digital presence. Okay, my favorite topic, the regulator. So the regulator. Regulatory challenges remain for all of us. And sometimes we don't like these challenges. a few weeks ago, there was a very famous circular on compensation that SEBI put out. And while very few of my peers made comments on this, I was notably unhappy about the circular. And I made my points about the circular. But the fact is, I didn't win that battle, and that circular will come. What I want to tell you is that as hard as it is, regulatory challenges will remain for all of us. When Gaur Gopal Das did a session for us last year, he said that life ki equation has constants and it has variables. What are famous mathematical constants? So someone want to remind me of what do you think of when I say mathematical constants? What are famous constants in life? What is a constant? What is the meaning of a constant? So a constant is something like pi. The value of pi is 3.14, right? Is that going to change? Can I change the value of pi? Can I change, ask yourself this, can you change the value of pi? Can you do anything? Yeah, Tejas is saying, no, I can't change the value of pi. I can jump from top to bottom. I can tweet all I want. I can complain, but I can't change the fact that pi is 3.14. Constants don't change. So don't worry about them. And I think Gaur said that this is the most calming thing you can do. So regulatory challenges are the constants in your life. Everything else I talked about is the variable in life. So if we know that this is constant and this is a variable and we can't change the constant, should we spend our limited energy focusing on the constant, or should we spend our limited energy focusing on the variable? So much energy in this industry. And guys, as a leader, I've dealt with this with my team over the last month. If we can't change the compensation circular, we have to live with the compensation circular. We have to focus on building the best business we can, growing our own incomes. I'm talking in the capacity of an AMC. That is variable. The AUM, the sales, the profitability of Edelweiss AMC is in my control. What SEBI decides to do about my compensation, unfortunately, it is not in my control. It is very difficult to acknowledge this, but this is a reality of life. The seventh thing I want to talk about, and this is related to the regulator, is competition. One of the things I have learned in this industry is, and there are 45 different mutual funds, and in this industry, itna data aata hai, har cheez pe itna data aata hai that you can spend inordinate time focusing on the competition. Competition, I have realized, will always exist, but you need to live in your own bubble. There is a reason most disruptive businesses, there's a reason Zerodha was not an existing player. There's a reason Bharat Bond did not come from a large established house. Live in your own bubble if you want to build something large, because competition will always pull you down. One of the things, so what is the objective of an equity fund? Can I ask you something? What is the objective of an equity fund? Why do you buy a long only active equity fund? Please tell me on the chat window. Why do you buy an active equity fund? What do you seek when you buy an equity fund? Wealth creation. What else do you seek? What else do you seek? How do you tell whether an equity fund is doing well? What should an equity fund do? Yeah, someone said it, finally. Okay. An equity fund is there to create alpha versus the benchmark. Everybody knows this, right? Now, if you want to create alpha versus the benchmark, and the only thing you do in life is hang around the benchmark, can you create alpha versus the benchmark? So if you want to create alpha in your own business, should you be obsessed with what everyone else is doing? Should you be obsessed with what competition is doing? Or should you just be focused on actively managing your own life and your own business? So competition will always exist. Sometimes it will do better than you. Sometimes it will do worse than you. But actively manage your own career. And remember, you will not beat the benchmark if you only hang out with the benchmark. Otherwise, you can be a passive fund and you can do what everyone else is doing. And the last thing, and I want to end this on a more hopeful note, is that contrary to what sometimes people think, the IFA community builds and brings a lot to the table. I've said this at MFRT in my first talk at as CEO, and I will say this now. You know, this is the day and age where people are celebrating entrepreneurs. No 20-year-old wants to do a job. Everyone wants to go and become an entrepreneur. Heck, we lose more AMC employees to entrepreneurship than to competition. Do not think of yourself as a small IFA. Think of yourself as an aspiring entrepreneur. And please, that positioning is a change in mindset. Kunal Shah runs Cred, and he walks around as if he is the king of the world when he earns 50 lakh in revenue, guys. You guys are aspiring, successful entrepreneurs. And your potential, I mean, there is one of you who came out of Pune and is now hiring people from AMC industry. I mean, a few days ago, we were joking that now with the rise of some of the large IFAs, we really have to worry. So I think of yourself as an entrepreneur and broaden your vision as an entrepreneur. You have many of the qualities that will set you apart. You have strong personal relationships, you have a connect with the client, you have geographic expertise and reach. Imagine, by the way, if one of you built a business where you were the number one IFA in a small city in South, do you think that business would not be valuable to a potential buyer? Just as Cred is valuable to a buyer, do you think that business would not be valuable to a potential buyer? You bring a lot to the table. It is important to recognize that you build a lot to the table. Yeah, and I was talking about Sapient Wealth. And yes, Sapient Wealth did add a debt fund manager from a large asset management company. And it's tremendous credit to Sapient Wealth and what they built. And yes, someone also reminded me that it's not IFA or MFD anymore. You know, Shakespeare said something, guys. He said, a rose by any name is just as sweet. In our industry, we can get very tempted to think MFD, IFA, it doesn't matter. You're an entrepreneur who's serving customers. Don't fall for this. I am an MFD, I am an IFA, I am an active AMC, I am a passive AMC, I am a small AMC, I am a big AMC. When you put yourself into these boxes, you forget to think outside the boxes. So you are an entrepreneur who is serving consumers. And you know, the good thing is you live in a country where there is enough demand for everything from a vada pav to fine dining. There is a market for direct, there is a market for regular, there's a market for a bank consumer, there's a market for a financial advisor. So thankfully, we don't live in Denmark, we live in India where there's a market for everything. I'm going to leave you with one last story. I started with the story of Amitabh Bachchan, but I want to leave you with two stories, and I'm hoping you'll guess these two names. I don't know if you'll guess them. So when I graduated from college and I went to a finance college called Wharton, the most popular career in 2005 was investment banking. This was the time of the Wall Street boom. And literally anybody who did not join investment banking basically was considered a reject. Isne kya kiya hai life mein? And most of my classmates ended up joining investment banking. I'm going to tell you three classmates, and these are people my year who didn't join investment banking. I'm hoping you'll guess who they are, maybe. The first person decided to do chemical engineering at a time when no one was doing chemical engineering. She decided to do chemical engineering. She came back to India at a time when everyone decided they were going to study in the US, और इसकी कोई खास वक्त नहीं थी. And she came back to join a family business that was a 20 crore company. She is a very prominent face in the media. Her company has been declared the best performing stock of the last decade. Yes, Charudat corrected it right. This is Vinati Saraf. She's MD and CEO of Vinati Organics. She joined it at a 20 crore company. It's a 20,000 crore company today. The second classmate decided to go work for Microsoft. His visa was ultimately rejected. And he came back to India to sell coupons, physical coupons. When I came back in 2009, he was selling physical coupons in India. And लड़ते भटकते etc etc लोगों ने इसका बहुत मजाक उड़ाया. He said in college, you know, I won't tell you his last name. That he said, I am Dhirubhai Ambani. I want to be the next generation's Dhirubhai Ambani. We actually used to call him Dhiru Behel in college. That's a hint. Do you want to guess who he is? He ultimately ended up building one of, yeah, that is it. This is Kunal Behel. He ended up building Snapdeal, one of India's first e-commerce giants. And the third story is probably the most recent story. This is a girl who was rejected from, I think, 8 investment banks. And she was told by one of them that you don't have the personality to be an investment banker. And she joined a very small investment bank and ultimately joined a small video company. Yeah, someone guessed it right. She just listed a $10 billion company on NASDAQ 2 weeks ago. It's Anjali Sood. And these are 3 stories I have seen in front of my eyes of people finding their own light and following their own path and building extremely successful companies, regardless of what the competition or regulation said, and building extremely valuable companies in what they can do. So I think everybody has the ability to find their own light. And I'll stop right here and hopefully open up this for questions. And by the way, guys, awesome job with the chat window. Tejas, over to you. Tejas, over to you.
Tejas and Navanita, yeah.
Yeah, sure. So we open the floor for questions. Either you can raise your hand or put your question in the chat box. Free to ask questions to Radhika ma'am.
I think there was one comment more than a question. Like there's, you talked about diversification, and very little product material is available from the AMC side on debt compared to an equity. So would you like to answer that?
Okay, so I can't comment specific to multiple AMCs, but I think our endeavor is to try and make more information available. I will make one comment on debt funds. Someone said this. I actually think in general in our industry, too much information is available. Very little of it is used in debt or equity. I think most customers don't read the fact sheet. Most customers don't know the portfolio. Like we revamped our website at, hold on one sec, there's a little background noise. Just hold on one sec. I just end
Yeah, sure.
You need
You're
to
on
unmute.
mute. Yeah.
Sorry. So I think there's actually a lot of information out there available. For instance, I'll tell you in the case of Edelweiss AMC, we revamped every single product page on our website. And there is a wealth of information on historical debt portfolios, historical YTM, approach, fact sheets, everything. I actually don't know how many people read it. The second point I'll make is I believe we as an industry confuse consumers too much with debt. You know, a customer, and again, I learned this from my father. He was trying to take money out of a savings bank account and put it in a debt fund. And he called me, and this was a little bit after one of those debt events. He said, "Ye low duration fund versus money market fund versus ultra short term fund, and mein farak kya hai?" He said, "I don't even understand any of these words." And I said, then I started explaining ultra short is this, low duration. And he said, "Beta, I'm just trying to park savings account money somewhere." I think the banking sector has done a very good job of this. I think we have too many fixed income products and complex fixed income products, and we make the communication even more complex. At least my endeavor is we should bring that back the fixed income. Please remember, if someone is trying to park money for 3 years for their daughter's wedding or a child's education, he really doesn't care that much. Interest rate इतना ऊपर गया, Raghuram Rajan ने ये किया, crude oil का price ये था. Let's bring back the fixed income. So while I take the feedback on communication, I think there is also great merit in simplicity, especially in fixed income. The word is fixed income. Make it feel fixed.
Absolutely. I think that's where we all should come into the picture, I guess. Yeah. Vanita, you want to read out a couple of questions that are already on the chat box?
Yeah.
You're on mute.
Actually, just, yeah. Hi, that was a wonderful presentation and nothing unusual. So actually just, I think some of the advisors have been asking for debt fund material. When it comes to the market or when it comes to some kind of collateral from the fund houses, majorly it's all focused on equity. Even when you talk about SIP, every fund house or every advisor is more focused on equity. So can you throw a bit more light on how one could just create wealth or one could diversify their assets by doing an SIP or creating a book size on debt as well?
So I think, by the way, SIP is not equity. There is a myth that one mutual fund is equity. I'm investing in a mutual fund. Oh, that must be equity. This does a great disservice to the range. For instance, I think forget debt and forget equity. In my favorite category, I do an SIP into BAF. I've been doing one for 6 years. My CAGR on doing an SIP into BAF is 14-15%. I have never had any moment of stress. So SIP is a tool. We use it in volatile asset classes, but can we also use it in other asset classes? Absolutely true. I would repeat that while you should, and if there's anything, if you feel after visiting our websites, we don't provide you enough collateral on debt, I will increase the amount of communication on debt. But I also want to make sure that the debt communication is simple so that we don't spook people. You know, I think when you go buy a car, you don't learn that much about how its engine works. These are simple products meant for simple talking, right? Of course, you should know the risks. Of course, you should have a basic checklist for debt. But every day, what the fund manager is doing in debt. So that's my point of view. But if you still feel that as Edelweiss AMC, we don't provide enough communication, I promise we'll make that change. Most of the things we do, guys, and I saw a comment from Sanjay on statement of account being best in the industry, are a result of your feedback. Most of the campaigns are a result of your feedback. The statement of the account is a result of your feedback. And just because someone pointed that out, I should also say something I didn't say in this presentation. You know, for us, so someone was telling me why we took the effort to change the statement of accounts, because it doesn't add anything to profit. I think it adds to value. It adds to your brand perception. It's a small thing you can do to distinguish yourself from, see, someone said it here, right? So obviously it matters to someone. Now it doesn't create profit. My profit or AUM is not going to go up, but it creates value. It builds a brand. It distinguishes from competition. And by the way, someone actually wrote to me, a direct customer on Twitter, that madam, you guys have changed your statement of accounts. It sends a signal to me that you care about your consumer. So I'm going to double my SIP in BAF. It had nothing to do with the performance of BAF.
And again, actually, there is the question on the size of the fund as to just, should we need to just pick a small and mid-sized AMCs vis-a-vis the bigger AMCs? So it's very embarrassing question, but still I just want a few lines from you.
So I don't think you should look at AMCs in terms of size. And look, Amphi has classification of A, B, and C AMCs. A is top 10, B is the next 10, and C is everyone else. And when we joined, we were a C AMC, and I've never got a C in class in my life. मुझे बड़ा दुख होता था कि हम लोग C हैं, and I still want to get into that A category. But I think this whole ranking of asset management companies by AUM is absolutely, it's okay. The market does it, but you guys shouldn't care. I don't know whether we are small or mid or large at rank 15. I don't think you should care. I think you should work with AMCs who are good, and different AMCs are good for different reasons and for different products. For instance, we are not the best AMC in the business for credit funds. We don't run them. So I think you should work with AMCs who are good to US partners, who manage funds and do what they say, and who are transparent and ethical, and who have been serious about the business and have shown some sort of ability to withstand cycles. I would say that. I would say you should not focus on the size, but the inherent quality of AMCs.
Again, actually, can you throw a bit more light on the new kind of circular that came from SEBI just appointing BSE for the complaints management for RIs?
Okay, so I don't want to comment on this yet till there is full clarification. Also, I'll skip this question.
Okay. And again, actually, just maybe it is again a very kind of embarrassing kind of a question, probably. Will we have an Edward Jones in India?
We have an Edward Jones in India. Who am I to tell you guys? That's a scary question. I don't know.
And
You know, one thing I will tell you is behavior won't change borders. That is one thing I will tell you, that behaviors don't change borders. And if it's possible in the US, it's possible in India. And I mean, so yeah, that's what I will tell you.
again,
Why
Rajesh, yeah.
Why don't you have an Indian success story in India? Why should we wait for Western narratives in India?
Yeah, Mr. Rajesh Sauragi, he wants to know more of the Anjali Sood's achievement.
So Anjali, Vinati and I are the same class at Wharton. It turned out to be a very good class of kids. And she currently is the CEO of Vimeo. The founders left the company. She took over the company when it was nearly about to be shut down. She, I think, was head of marketing before. And then she actually had the initiative to go to the board and say that you're running the company all wrong. You should stop competing with Netflix and Amazon to make content because we'll never have the budgets, and be a tool for video creators. And because she asked for the opportunity, which is my favorite thing, she got it. She turned the business around. She became CEO and she listed the company 2 weeks ago. And before listing, she posted a picture of herself in a pink and white suit holding her baby.
Yes.
And that picture went viral on the internet because it said that forget this whole nonsense of work-life balance. I can wear a pink suit. I can do a company on NASDAQ.
I think we have a couple of questions people wanting to ask.
Yeah.
Can we unmute Mr. Venkatesh? Yeah.
Good evening, madam.
Hello.
Good evening, madam. Hello. Good evening, madam.
Yeah. Go ahead with your question, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Madam, 2008 crisis, financial crisis. 2008 financial crisis और अभी नेक्स्ट फाइनेंशियल क्राइसिस में डिफरेंस होगा ही होगा, क्योंकि लास्ट ईयर पेंडेमिक टाइम पे ही ये इतना मार्केट गिर गया, लास्ट ईयर गिर गया ना, वही मार्केट 7,500 से 16,500 तक आ गया वो टाइम पे। ओनली इन्वेस्टर्स भी बाइंग, एफआई सेलिंग रहे तो भी उतने मैच कर दिए थे इंश्योरेंस वाले, इंश्योरेंस फंड हाउसेस, मेनी मोर, वो उतना ही बाइंग कर रहे हैं। ऐसा ही नेक्स्ट टाइम फाइनेंशियल क्राइसिस आ गए तो भी इतना मार्केट 2008 से कैसा गिर गया वैसा गिरेगा ही नहीं ना, उतना ही बाइंग आ जाएगा। अभी भी 200-300 मार्केट गिर गया तो पट से बाइंग आ रहा है। वो टाइप पे क्राइसिस होगा कि नहीं होगा, हो गए तो भी इतना जल्दी से वो पट से निकल जाएगा, वैसा मेरा है। आपका आंसर क्या है?
I'll give a quick answer, and the question, since some people have said they couldn't understand the Hindi, was that, as I understand it, is that 2008 was one kind of crisis. Will the next crisis be so strong and so brutal? And so that is the question. One, I think it is impossible to predict market crises. I think, and it is impossible to predict the speed of their recovery. So if you look at March 2020, it was a very deep crisis. But it was also a very sharp recovery. Secondly, while all corrections, are similar to each other, they rhyme, but they are not replicas of each other. I think corrections they rhyme, but they don't repeat themselves exactly. Also, please remember, so I don't know when the next correction will be, and I don't know what magnitude it will be. Also, remember market dynamics change. For instance, we were just discussing something with our equity team. Today, one of the biggest trends that has happened in the last year and a half is that the individual investor is a large, what we call Robinhood investor globally, has become very large and is a prominent part of public shareholding. Now, we used to have the FII and the DII before. Could we have this third category of investor that could behave very differently in a correction from institutional investors? Absolutely could. Now, what does this mean for all of you, I think? We get questions about corrections all the time. I don't think you can anticipate corrections. I think you can only prepare for them. You have to build robust client portfolios that can handle a correction. You have to build robust businesses that can handle a correction. I believe that, and through COVID, if your business was completely decimated by COVID, unless you were in the film industry or something, then it's questionable in financial services what kind of business you build, because this is not a physical business. So you have to build businesses that are robust to COVID. My God, there's so many questions on the listing of Edelweiss AMC. I see in the window.
Yeah, Mr. Sanjay has raised this question. He wants to know as to when
Okay. So we
Edelweiss.
have no plans to get listed anytime soon. We are too young to even think about listing. We've gone from a 5,000 to a 57,000 crore AMC in the last 4 years. But I would repeat, we are too young. We are focused today on building value and hopefully also profitability together. And I think if we build a valuable business, then with the blessings of our investors and distribution partners, one day we will get listed. But I think, as they say in Hindi, Delhi bahut dur hai. Delhi is very, very far away.
Mr.
Sudhindra?
Sudhindra, you've raised an, can you please unmute yourself and talk?
Yeah. Good evening, Radhika. This is Sudhindra Rao here. So I have a couple of questions basically. One from as an entrepreneur, and one I also take care of the liquid part of IT at Kampa. So I plan to have some sessions to Kampa members in the future, so which can throw some light. First, let me ask you the question from the Kampa point of view. See, this KYC has become a real nightmare for us, basically. So we have transferred ourselves over a period of couple of years from becoming paper to paper free. It was hesitant to accept it, but people are able to accept it now because thanks to COVID, they made us to accept the fact that we have to live in this world, a new normal. However, after the Supreme Court has removed that Aadhaar process, so we have been earlier we used to do biometric KYC and things can be done. I don't see much of a industry level support. I'm talking from all the AMC's perspective, helping distributor to get into system, because each AMC has its own process to get a folio, get the things and all those things. So how we can figure out how we can help the distributor who is very small, who can actually scale his business. That's the first question. Second question, you can answer this question. I'll ask the second one.
So my quick answer to this is actually AMCs are very keen to make this happen. We realize KYC procedures are not ideal, and I'm on the AMFI board, so I am privy to some of these discussions. So I think we are trying to push not only SEBI but FinMin that this happens and that KYC happens, and that customer acquisition for us is also an efficient and not expensive process. So my short answer is that while I don't have a specific solution, it's not that the AMC industry is not interested.
Sudhindra, you may raise the next question as well.
Ma'am, unmute.
No.
Yeah, I'm unmute. Yeah, okay. The second question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. The second question which I'm asking as an entrepreneur is, we have a lot of challenges in terms of scaling our business. So I'm sure the SIP number which showed to us 5 SIP a month multiplied by 2,500 for a 10-year that amount of growth happens, which is recurring revenue model. We lack leadership qualities as an independent financial advisors. Basically, we don't know how to think big. The point number one. The point number two, which I personally believe, is that the way we identify a problem. So we don't know how to identify a problem. So we know bigger the problem, bigger the premium. Okay. So we know that we personally believe, I think we keep discussing with our team, next decade later, 100 lakh crore, 200 lakh crore will happen. Of course it will happen, but we are only perception saying that only grow will eat the market share. The answer is no. Okay, which we are doing the ground reality. As an entrepreneur, I'm digitally equipped, and I do a lot of experiments in terms of going digital marketing, blah blah things. But however, my personal view is that there is something missing, thinking big for the IFA and IFA fraternity is concerned. So how can we, I don't know, it's not instead of getting a GAN point of view, I think we need some practical advice how we can implement these things.
I think this is a very interesting question. I don't know if I have a see. I think thinking big is very internal. Now in corporates, I think we benefit at least in Edelweiss. What has helped me is doing 5-year planning, and we do 5-year planning, and we try to do it without looking at today's reality, because today's reality constrains the size of your vision. So back in, I think, 2017, when I had started and we were about 5,000 crores, we made a plan for a 40,000 crore AMC. Now we didn't have everything down to plan. Now 40,000 when you're 5,000 actually feels like a very big jump. And then we made a plan that what do we want to do in 6 months? What do we want to do in 1 year? What do we want to do in 2 years? What do we want to do in 3 years? We thought about, if we got to 40,000 crores, what capabilities would we want to invest in? What people would we want to invest in? And we actually put down planning and timelines, and we worked on that. I think a combination of planning and ruthless execution actually works very well in this business, because we are not in the business of rocket science. You don't have to dream up crazy ideas and strategies. I think you have to have some long-term planning and some 1-2 year milestones and keep readjusting.
And there is a question from Mr. Ramakrishna. He's asking, actually, just do small AMCs take less risky stocks?
No, I think, risk is not about the size of AMC. In fact, as I said, I don't know if we're large, mid, or small. I have seen small AMCs. I mean, I'll take the example of Parag Parikh, who are extremely responsible in their behavior because they don't have the benefit of a larger brand. It's like, let me ask you a question. An IFA is a smaller advisor than a bank, than a big bank. Does an IFA do a subpar job or take more risk for his clients just because he's smaller versus a bank? Absolutely not. Chances are, because he has to manage his own brand and he doesn't have so many RMs who can keep changing jobs, he's probably more careful about what he does. So I think we should remove, if we can, this mentality of the small AMC, small IFA, I think we should remove it from our head.
And yeah, Sri, you can pick a couple of questions from the chat box as well.
Yeah, there's one question from, how do you see the US dollar and interest rates influencing the Indian markets in the next 1 year?
Okay, so I do think it is going to be, just quick answer here in the interest of time. I do think it is going to be a positive time for, emerging markets, not just Indian markets. I think you might see some, rise in US rates that the Fed has guided towards. But I think it will be because of growth in US markets. And if there is a general feeling of risk on, it will be good for all emerging markets.
Yeah.
Radhika, I have a question for you. Since you're on the board of AMFI and also in touch with the regulators, there is a lot of data and information which keeps flowing in saying that the online business and the digital business is taking over the MFD business, or rather the percentage or the share of contribution is coming down for the MFD as a business. So is there something which the regulator is focusing on to ensure that the MFD business also sustains and let's say from a next 5-year perspective, is there any scope for the MFD business to do good or better or take over the share from online business? How do you answer this?
No, I don't think the regulator is doing anything pro the online business or pro the MFD business. I think online guys are doing a few things right. One, they have huge budgets and they've done a fab job at building brands. I was doing a UHNI session and someone asked me whether they should have their money managed by Kotak Wealth or Grow. I mean, the fact that Grow was spoken in the same breath as Kotak Wealth shocked me. And I have nothing against Grow, but it tells you that I think of them as a very retail brand, but that's the mind share that they've captured, which is why I spent so much time talking about brand today, because I think that's one place where MFD is completely lacked. I mean, on the top of this HNI's head should have been, can I go to a good financial advisor? Not can I go to Grow? So I don't think the regulator is, I think the regulator has an interest in seeing direct growth, to be frank. But I don't think it is biased towards a particular channel. In fact, I think as online grows as a channel, it is taking some actions to curtail and make sure online growth is responsible. For instance, there was that regulation that AMCs can't pay anything to online. So I think that is there. I think it is early days for the online channel. It's one thing to acquire customers, it's another thing to sustain them. And direct is not a business that makes money. So fundamentally, the business value is questionable. They have to see if they find a way to make money with these consumers and sustain the business.
Charudat has raised, has a question. Go ahead, Charudat. Can we unmute them?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, hello Radhika, a big fan. So having studied in US, having worked in the West, and now still, as a CEO of a big AMC, you have a significant overseas assets to manage. In this decade that we are going to complete by 2030, where do you see the composition of actively managed and passively managed funds?
Okay. Active and passive. I get this question a lot. I repeat, I think this is industry terminology. I don't think this is consumer terminology. I think passive will grow in categories, and I think it's growing is not bad for any of us. If there are categories where active funds are not able to generate value and passive funds are, look, I run a 35,000 crore fixed income passive business. I didn't know it would do the numbers it did, but it took off at a time when people were demanding more transparent solutions. It delivered something to the consumer. So I think if passive funds come and deliver value to the consumer, they will do well. But I will give you another perspective. I think we should not spend too much time and debate about it as an industry. We should be open in our thinking. It is not and or, it is both. Both can coexist. The passive movement really took place in the US in a big way when equity penetration sort of was 80-100%. We are living in a country where there is hardly any mutual fund penetration. So our first top of mind thing should be to get more consumers into the mutual fund industry. Bank to liquid fund, अब वो liquid के बाद active equity में जाए या smart beta में जाए या passive में जाए, it actually doesn't matter.
There's one interesting, can we go ahead with the next question?
Yeah.
You touched upon Edelweiss brand, kind of affecting indirectly the mutual fund brand. So how did you deal with it? And how did you go about solving that?
By listening to this advice of Gaur Gopal Das, I realized what is happening to my parent company is a constant in life, and I can't do anything about it. And around the time that I came for the Camfa meet, so we used to do before COVID this ground property called Connect, where we went to different parts of the country and IFAs came, and it was a very big thing for us. And when this whole noise was happening in 2019, I think, early mid 19, we said maybe we should cancel Connect because everywhere we are going to go, people are going to say, "Aapki company to TV mein aa rahi hai, BFC hai," and all that. There was a WhatsApp that used to float around, DHFL, India Bulls, Edelweiss, die. These companies will die. WhatsApp pe ghumta tha. And people would call our employees and say, "Aapko paycheck, you're not going to get a paycheck." I mean, someone actually called me and said, "You're not going to get a paycheck." I said, "But I just got one." So all this nonsense happened. So when this discussion of Connect came, we actually said, you know what? We are going to do Connects. And if we did it in 8 cities last year, we're going to do it in 10. Because the only way to prove people wrong about your brand is to grow your business and be on the ground. And we used to start every Connect by saying, "Hi, I'm Radhika, and I want to tell you about all the things you've been hearing on TV and tell you that they're false." And then, because we were so upfront in admitting, we were like stand-up comedians who were laughing at ourselves. Because we were laughing at ourselves and admitting the problem, no one had the courage to, people just overlooked it. And then they saw what we were doing. Then BharatMond happened, the equity business grew, and things just turned around. And we did 3,500 crores of equity last year when the industry was minus 50, and things just turned around. But I think what we focused on was controlling what we can control. My husband's Catholic, and there's a beautiful prayer. It's called the Serenity Prayer, and it says, God, give me the courage to change the things I can, to accept the things I cannot change, and the wisdom to know the difference. So we accepted what we could not change, and we were courageous about changing the things we could. And And gradually we learned what the difference was.
Oh, that's great. And I have a question from Mr. Sachin. The expense ratio difference between direct and regular does not match up with the payouts. So, what are all the other add-ons does a regular take up?
It has to match. I mean, a scheme has GST on management fees, operating expense, and distribution commission. I mean, there is nothing else. And 5 paisa on exit load. That's it. That is the breakup of expenses. So it has to match. It may not match on a month-on-month basis because we do adjustments at the end of the year for accounting reasons, but it has to match otherwise. The average distribution payout, it has to match. This is audited.
Yeah.
Radhika, another very interesting
Yes.
question from Mr. Sanjay. He says that direct platforms are using a lot of promotions by focusing or rather highlighting on the commission which an MFD or a regular plan would earn from. So he says something like, they say save about 10 lakhs or so by investing into a direct plan than compared to a regular plan and things like that. So this is not the ethical way to promote a scheme or to do a business. So is there anything a regulator or you being on the AMFI board, would like to address such kind of issues, or how do we take it up actually?
So I have seen these issues, by the way, and some of these switch requests, etc., we are highlighting to SEBI. I'll tell you something. If someone is going to build a business only on the basis of cost, I have realized in financial services, it is a race to the bottom. Because cost ultimately cannot be a source of value to the consumer. If the only basis on which you're building a business today is cost, tomorrow someone else will offer you sort of stuff and say, I'm paying you to invest in my platform. I mean, where is the end to this? So point one, me and a couple of others, we have highlighted this. Point two, cost cannot be the only basis by which anyone builds a sustainable business.
Yeah. Mr. Ravi Jadi has got a question. He says that actually just more than 25,000 have been pumped into the Indian FIIs in last 1 year. So just in case if it increases the rate, will the bull run be over? Is there a chance for a correction? Is it a matter of a concern is what he asks?
So one should always be concerned about corrections, because I read his question according to an established AMC fund manager. So I can't comment on what someone else is saying. I think at these market levels, one should always be ready for a correction. But also one should realize one is in an easy liquidity environment. And if interest rates are raised because of growth in the US and there is a constant risk on, this can go on for longer than we think. And as I said, a correction is always a possibility, guys. You have to prepare for it, not predict it. I think we spend too much of our time trying to prepare and trying to predict कि correction होने वाला है या नहीं होने वाला. Fund managers all over the world get market timing right.
Yeah, I think Charu that wants to raise a question again.
Yeah. Well, my question was asked by Tejas just now. I think Mr.
Okay.
Sanjay also has raised it in the chat. But I would just want to use this opportunity. If my memory goes right, the entire genesis of direct plan in 2011, way back in 2010 and 11, when it was about to come, was that the evolved treasury investors, those who are informed investors, direct was meant for them. And this entire narrative that is getting changed, that save so and so money by going direct. So I think somebody should represent us, and who better than the AMCs?
Yeah, and I don't think the narrative for direct should be save money. I think the narrative should be I am a savvy investor, and I believe maybe a few percent of India is savvy. I think you can't fight the direct narrative, but you can build the advisor narrative. I think one of the reasons we keep investing in advisor Rudy as a campaign is it is our way to fight the narrative and say, listen, you need advice also.
And again, this is from Mr. Sachin. He wants to know as to just what kind of value adds that SEBI is expecting the RAs or MFDs to give. That is, a lot of online platforms are there. So obviously they're all offering free advice. So your views on free advice and fee for advice.
So online advice can never be personalized. And I really believe personal finance is deeply personal. I think if you take four people on this call was on my screen, Tejas, Shrikala, Vanita, you and me. We are all four different individuals with very four different financial situations. And if a computer can advise all of us in depth and with nuance, that would be surprising. I think physical advice has its merits. The question was, what does SEBI expect? I don't think we should work for what the regulator expects. What does SEBI expect from me? SEBI expects I'll build a compliant business, right? I want to build much more than a compliant business. So I don't build a business based on what SEBI expects. I build a business in compliance with all SEBI regulations, but I build a business for my passion and my dreams. And I build a business that will add value to my consumers. I think there is tremendous value that you can add to your consumers. I think there is value in terms of personalized advice that no online platform can do. I think there is value in preventing consumers from making stupid decisions in tough times. That I don't think an online platform can do particularly well. I think there is a value in, preventing consumers from chasing the herd. I've quite frankly seen, and I get very scared by a lot of junk that is sold on platforms. Just because it is the right thing to do. And I think there's a lot, I think another place where value can be added, which I alluded to, is setting correct expectations. Every online platform markets last 1 year return. Do you think last 1 year return is a reasonable expectation for what will happen in the future? Who can set those expectations, right? Who can sit down with someone and say, you are not going to earn 50% return next year? No online platform is going to be able to do that.
Yeah, there's another question from this. Yeah, Tejas, you have.
Yeah. So Radhika, so we have a lot of participants attending from outside Bangalore, from smaller towns as well. So just would like to get an answer from you, because in some of the cities you do not have a presence, you do not have offices and things like that. So from an AMC like you, where you do not have a presence, what is the kind of a support they can expect from you, or which you wish to extend? So can Camphor also be a part of it, and how can we work together?
Absolutely, Tejas. So I think our desire to work with you is not limited by the city we are present in. I think my South team is already doing work in non-core markets. We have some emerging market presence, but we would be more than happy for your friendship and partnership. And I think one thing to get out of our heads is that we need to have a branch to build a business together between you and us. I think Paytm reaches lakhs of consumers in many parts of the country where there are no branches present. So I think we are equipping each other with enough information, digital tools and outreach. If you ever need us to do an event that is non-Bangalore and only these parts of the country, and my team has already been doing that outreach, we'd be more than happy to do that.
Thank you.
And if there is special support that needs to be extended, and I would say one thing for friends in upcountry markets, or however I would call it, you guys have a really special opportunity to be the kings of your micro market. And if you take one market outside Bangalore and you build the best IFA business in Bangalore, believe me, a larger guy in South will want to acquire you tomorrow. You have that locational edge that even big guys in Bangalore don't have. So don't be limited by the aspirations of a small city. Just like this small AMC, knock this small city out of your head, because you can be. I sold a firm to Edelweiss at the age of 29 because it was a specialist firm. It took a very small niche of investing, but it became a leader in that. By becoming kings of your micro markets, you have that opportunity.
Well said. Thank you.
Vanita, I think we'll take this one last question.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we have a question. Are there any areas, I mean, there are many areas AMCs need to be creative to attract more investors in the country. So can you list some of them?
One I am going to be working on is young investors, because we do surveys on our brand every 6 months versus other AMCs. And one place I think that we can do a lot of work is young investors. When so many young investors tell me their first investment is going to be cryptocurrency, not a mutual fund, I get very pricked. But it's also a realization that maybe I need to make what I'm doing more interesting to that young consumer. So we are going to be working with some social media influencers, some content partners, is some interesting stuff in the works. I've learned a lot about sort of the digital and social space in the last 18 months sitting at home. And so working with young consumers is going to be one that I'm very excited about.
Wonderful. I think, I mean, there is so much of talk about the brand. I think two brands came together, I would say. I mean, you yourself are a big brand ambassador for the AMP industry and Camfa for its MFD company. I think today on a Saturday evening, we had 100 plus, you know, patiently listening to you and getting inspired and asking you questions. I think this has been one of the most interactive sessions we have had, I can tell you. I think that is all the, you know, kudos to you and your narrative skills. And I think most inspiring for me was, you know, the 2 crore to 150 crore. And AMC just 4 years ago had a 2 crore SIP book, which I'm sure many of us are aspiring, or some of them have already crossed this figure. So imagine if we are able to build a 150 crore SIP book, the future is humongous. And I think we should not worry about the Grow and Paytms of the world. Just keep doing what you're doing. And I think the future is fantastic. On that note,
I don't spend all my time worrying about new digital AMC. Every day someone writes an article, a new digital AMC is entering the market. Let them. I'll keep doing what I have to do. You keep doing what you have to do. We live in India, yeah. There's enough for all of us to go around.
Absolutely. I think just today also we got, you know, video was shared, you know, how the MFD future is dead. I think after listening to you, we are going to delete that video from our mind. And thank you so much, Radhika. It was a wonderful session and we look forward to having you with us many more often, more importantly in an offline session.
Absolutely, I'd love to.
Yes, and thank you all, Camfites, and thank you for being there and motivating us to do much more sessions. Your participation means a lot. Look forward to another interesting session soon. Have a nice weekend and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you so much.